Hi, folks. Welcome to week 13 of our class. Tonight's class will be doing some independent work, but I'm going to navigate you through the directions and give you a little layout of the land, per se. So our topic this week is on helping families to address challenging behaviors. A lot of our content that we've covered in regards to strategies and communication, relationship building, all those components are going to be, those foundational critical skills to working with families and addressing challenging behaviors. So those are kind of the basis foundation, per se. Whoops. So this week there are two primary objectives. I'm reading on the right-hand side first. So to understand the basic processes for the implementation of using the prevent, teach, reinforce for young children and the prevent, teach, reinforce for families models. You'll utilize a webinar, a PowerPoint that you'll read through, and a case study application. And then the second and primary objective is to discover and explore resources related to supporting families to support social emotional development in the home and the community. So I've brought up these two particular models, and part of the reason I am focusing on these is because these are two models that I personally have a lot of experience with and have implemented and utilized research. Much of my research is utilizing the PTR for young children model and looking at its fidelity of implementation, adding to the literature on the efficacy of utilizing this kind of approach and model. So to give you a quick background, PTR, so that's kind of the acronym, was originally developed for school age, just so it left off the young children words. It really was school age, prevent, teach, reinforce. And the authors recognized the need for the adaptation specifically with young children, which, the contextual variables of supporting behavior within routines, embedded learning, all of those best practices. And so this one really emphasizes that routines-based embedded learning and some explicit instruction within the context of that child's natural environment. So then I guess 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, the third kind of subset of this came out called Prevent, Teach, Reinforce for Families. And this particular model still is being researched in regards to its efficacy, and some of the preliminary publications and findings are showing a high correlation with change of behavior and parenting. And so I wanted to introduce these to you because they're utilized nationally, and our National Center for Pyramid Model Innovations really also is very integral in utilizing these models because they really have the evidence base to them. Now, you'll notice as you listen to the webinar that it's very much the principles are not unique, in terms of that process of identifying functions of behavior and looking at matching behavior intervention strategies and reinforcement to the hypothesis, testing that hypothesis, gathering that information through functional behavior assessment. So that is a typical process. But again, this is really utilizing that process specifically in the context of either the preschool or childcare setting, and then the setting of the home or community. So what you'll do this week, okay, I'm going to go back here just a moment to my slide 3. So directions. Under your week 3, well, you would have already found this in your week 13 folder. The first thing you'll do is watch. It's a little less than an hour. There might be some parts, I understand, if you kind of browse through faster than others, but it's really a foundational webinar on the Prevent, Teach, Reinforce for Young Children, the model, how it is utilized, implemented, the steps to it, important considerations. So you're watching that. There is not a webinar yet developed for the PTR which is Prevent, Teach, Reinforce for Families. So that's why I'm having you do this first, just the PTR-YC, because it's the same, very similar process. So then what I'm going to have you do, the second thing that is uploaded under this week is, it is from a presentation that was done, and I actually am friends with a couple of the authors, and so it's been fun to see this process and be part of some of the research. So this is a PowerPoint presentation that are the slides from a recent presentation done in June in 2019. And again, you kind of I say read, scan, because some of it's going to be similar, redundant to the webinar, but then you'll notice I want you to look carefully at what are some of the differences that that these presenters are identifying in the PTRF version. So what's different between the families version and just the young children version, which is designed for the classroom environment or childcare setting. So then the third component, which I think probably might kind of bring it all together and hopefully might be most useful in terms of the application, is reading through a Prevent, Teach, Reinforce for Families case study. You'll notice there are 4 parts that I've uploaded, the 4 main parts, and I might have one more I need to add, but of the case, walking you through a case study of Jimmy. So it's really looking at applying and what does that look like in terms of the home and coaching. It's a pretty interactive, engaging case study, and you'll also see all the forms that are utilized and completed as part of that. So then your last step will be to explore, I put on a website link, the family engagement resources on the National Center for Pyramid Model Innovations. And there's some directions about exploring that, some things to consider, thinking about how you would utilize that in the context of coaching in the home or community. And in summary, I am actually not asking you to do a written task. But this framework, again, is kind of our class content, really addressing supporting social emotional skills. And because a lot of this is reading or that video component, that webinar component, I decided this would be the most useful way to present and explore this information. So I'm going to end that now and just show you, here we go. You'll see the webinar, then the family's presentation handout. That's the PowerPoint that I was saying that is not available in a webinar format, but it's the webinar PowerPoint of PTRF. Then you'll notice this case study, and this is the link right here for the family engagement website. I have added 2 additional resources. These are not required that you open them or explore for class tonight, but just, again, 2 other resources that are specific to supporting families or home and community settings on social emotional development and positive behavior supports. So that is your task for this evening. All right. Thank you.